So we're going to try and get 2 episodes of these out a week. Lucky you could see my beautiful, handsome, freshly out of the showered hair and face. So whether you're a big anime fan or not, it doesn't really matter. Ultimately, I believe that no matter what, you know what Dragon Ball is, right? And if you don't know what Dragon Ball is, you're out of your fucking mind. Oh my god. I'm getting a fucking foot cramp you wouldn't believe. Jesus Christ. Kind of like Naruto and Pokemon, I'd assume. Dragon Ball has expanded to being much more of a cultural icon in the media, entertainment, animation industry than just being kind of labeled just like a simple anime manga in that world of products, I guess, created in the East, shonen type stuff. Everybody knows what I'm trying to imply is everybody knows what Dragon Ball is, everybody knows what Pokemon is, everybody knows what Naruto is. Probably, I would assume most people know what Naruto is. But most people might not know what My Hero Academia is, or Bleach, or JJK, or any of those. But most people, probably it's Pokemon and Dragon Ball, I would assume most people know what those things are. They've grown to that level. And besides a little memorial thing that I put up at the beginning of one of the Ian Talks episodes for Akira Toriyama during his passing, I don't think I've really talked about Dragon Ball that much. I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I've seen every episode of Dragon Ball, every episode of Dragon Ball Z, every episode of Dragon Ball GT, every episode of Dragon Ball Super. I've read the manga. And that goes for JJK, that goes for Naruto, that goes for Boruto, and I like to keep up with a lot of that medium. Once you get, I think for me, there's a thing is too far in that area that I don't really go into too much. But Dragon Ball, I grew up on Dragon Ball, and I love those characters in that world too much in my maturity to stay away from it now. And Dragon Ball Super was the first ever Dragon Ball show that I was alive for. I get if you count Dragon Ball Z Kai, but Dragon Ball Super was the first ever show that I was really alive for, because most Dragon Ball stuff came out the 80s and 90s. I was born in 2001, so I missed a lot of that. So when Dragon Ball Super was airing, huge deal for me. And I remember when that show originally came out, and I first watched the first couple episodes, and I was like, this is just a copy of the movies that came out, which the movies were great. The only difference was that the anime fucked up the animation so badly that I had to try and push through. But by the time we got to the Tournament of Power, and I didn't wait for the dub, we watched the sub, goddammit. By the time we got to the Tournament of Power, the world had pretty much exploded, and they figured out a lot of the animation issues, and it was peak. I really think that's what it would have been like in the 90s. Whenever they were about to beat Frieza, or when they were about to beat Majin Buu. But this is the world of social media, and I think that helped it blow up even more. So Dragon Ball Super goes on a hiatus, the manga catches up finally, and even goes past it by 2 arcs, and everybody's sitting around and wondering where the hell is Dragon Ball Super 2. They were in production with it for a little bit, I guess, but then out of the blue, we randomly get a announcement that a new Dragon Ball show is on its way off the heels of the Dragon Ball Super movies that were both great. And the new Dragon Ball show, it was originally leaked to being called Dragon Ball Magic before, I guess, Toriyama stepped in and changed that to make it Dragon Ball DAIMA. And the trailer came out. I think the original teaser came out in a convention, and it wasn't even, someone had to film it and leak it, and that's how the trailer came out. And the first thing you hear is, "This isn't Super, please don't be Magic." That's not a good way to start it off. And I think a lot of people were upset that this wasn't the continuation of Super, especially because the material that was coming out in the manga was fantastic, and you're putting that on the back end of the Dragon Ball Super stuff that we have been seeing in movie form. If you were able to take that animation, such as the Broly movie animation, and adapt the moral arc like that, that's really what everybody wants to see. I decided to keep an open mind here. Especially with the leaks coming out that it was going to be maybe a little more adult potentially, but it was going to be kind of like Goku and the gang were going to be turned into kids, so everybody's like, oh, this is just GT 2.0. And then Akira Toriyama came out and said, hey, listen, cocksuckers, I'm I'm passionate about this one. I've been working on this one personally. If you know his history, he did not work on the anime that much, and the only reason he came back to work on Dragon Ball Super in the first place is because they fucked it up so bad. And he started working on the animation, then I started learning about the production process and how Dragon Ball DAIMA had a pre-production process that literally shits on Dragon Ball Super's, and Dragon Ball Super's production process was absolutely horrendous. It was like the worst working conditions ever. But Dragon Ball DAIMA's was super generous. Multiple years. Unbelievably generous. It would not surprise me if they're almost done making the show today. Because we do know that DAIMA's not going to be a 140 episode thing, at least I'm assuming not. But they went ham on it. And to Dragon Ball DAIMA's credit, you can tell, it is a gorgeous looking show. So then the leaked trailer comes out, and then I think that they released a little trailer. Toriyama talked about it a little bit, and I think that kind of built up the hype a little bit. And then 9 months passed, and we didn't hear anything. Nobody talked about anything. The only thing that we really got was the announcement of the new Dragon Ball video game, and that's been getting most of the marketing. And then they released one more trailer that I guess was going to be for the English side of things, and then the show came out. And now we're on episode 8 or 9, and we're getting reports that Dragon Ball DAIMA is doing fine, but it's not doing as well as that the studio was hoping for. And I guess that they were hoping that Dragon Ball was just going to sell itself, kind of like Super did, and just explode and break the internet, especially if they did what they thought was the criticism in the first place, and they made a show giving it the production style that they asked for, that the audience asked for. Could you imagine if Dragon Ball Super got the production that Dragon Ball DAIMA did? Dragon Ball Super, by the end of it in the Tournament Power, looked great. Imagine what it looks like with this production. Fantastic. Not only that, but the animation team that they put together for this is like the fucking Avengers. It's insane. And you could tell. Every episode's gorgeous. Every fight looks gorgeous. Voice acting, of course, is fantastic. It is really, in Dragon Ball DAIMA's credit, it's a fantastic, might be strong, but so far, we're early into it. It's a good show. Sure, it kind of goes back to that root of original Dragon Ball where it's more adventure style, but the action is great. But Dragon Ball DAIMA not bringing views in, I hope that the studio and the people around the world looking at the show don't look at it and go, well, Dragon Ball is just now a dying product because this new show, and Dragon Ball shows don't just come out anymore. It's not doing as well as people hope, so that means we should just stop making Dragon Ball shows and Dragon Ball movies and just focus on what sells. Maybe Dragon Ball movies, but the Dragon Ball shows aren't as profitable anymore. Well, Toei set this thing up to fail from the fucking get-go. Toei did a fantastic job at giving their staff enough time to write a beautiful-looking show, to having Akira Toriyama on board to do it, and bringing in the correct staff to animate this thing. You did everything you could to make a fantastic product, and you have a fantastic product, but you didn't put it out there. The first taste we ever got of this show was at the convention center. It was a leaked tweet, or it was a tweet of somebody filming the screen, and the first thing you hear is, please don't let this be Dragon Ball Magic. And then you release a trailer, and then you don't say anything for 9 months, and you don't release anything going in the trailer. There's 2 trailers. There was no hype for this thing built at all. There was no marketing strategy. There's still no marketing strategy for this show. This thing was set up to fucking flop from the very beginning, and the only reason it's not flopping is because it is just Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball has an incredibly loyal fan base, and they're going to do just fine with or without the marketing schedule. But if you wanted the show to be a success like Super, which is why I guess the only reason you made this show in the first place, which you already know that people want Super Season 2, so you're going to be fighting an uphill battle anyway. The best marketing strategy you get is 2 fucking trailers. That's it. And not only that, I believe one trailer was just the announcement of the English cast and the original Goku actor who played, I believe her name's Stephanie, coming back to play Goku. That's great. But he didn't reveal really anything about the show or what is going on in the show, and trying to get away from the feeling that it's just GT2, because it's really not GT2. And you also highly miscalculated for a couple different things, such as where this show is being watched. You can either A, watch it on Crunchyroll, or the big announcement that they released is that you can watch it on Netflix too. Well, neither streaming service has an incentive to sell the show, because neither streaming service has exclusive rights to that show. You can also watch it on other platforms such as Hulu and Disney+. I watch Dragon Ball on Disney+, because I have the Disney Plus Hulu subscription. Dragon Ball being on Netflix for a new show is it's brilliant. You should have gone with that from the get-go. But on top of that, I believe new episodes don't come out. They come out a week after the schedule. So those aren't coming out consistently. Or a day. I don't know what it is. I think it's a week or a couple days or something like that. So they're not coming out when the episodes are actually released. So now you have this show in order to try and get it in as many eyes as possible because you didn't want to market it properly through ads and advertising. You try to get this thing in front of as many people as possible. But the problem is that if you have it everywhere, you're not doing one really well. Netflix doesn't have an incentive to promote a show that's also on Hulu Plus or on Hulu and Disney Plus. Are you following me? And then you for some reason do this massive thing wherever the first 3 episodes of English are going to be in theaters. That's cool. But then the English episodes don't premiere till next month. What are we doing? So you just set this thing up to not succeed from the very beginning. And there's nobody you can blame but yourself, really. So do I think Dragon Ball DAIMA is going to pick up? I think by the finale, I think the word will get out, and I think more people are going to come in, but I don't think it's going to reach the heights of Dragon Ball Super 2, or Dragon Ball Super, in the Tournament of Power, because at least the Tournament of Power had everything going for it as far as marketing and promotion. Dragon Ball DAIMA just seems to be something that's falling in the background of the Sparking Zero video game, which is how that's the case. I have no idea. Ultimately, Dragon Ball DAIMA was just, this was doomed to fail from the beginning, and maybe it doesn't fail. I'm saying it's not, like, you're not reaching your potential of what you could have. And my hope is that you don't look at that and you go, we're just not going to do Super 2, and we're not going to do Moro, and we're not going to do Granola. And you should do it with the same production squad and the same, maybe not 2 years, it doesn't have to be that, but go make a show. So yeah, go watch Dragon Ball DAIMA. If more people watch Dragon Ball DAIMA, that gives them an incentive to give you the show that you originally asked for, which was Dragon Ball Super 2. And hope you enjoyed this episode of Ian Talks, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace, love, adios, goodbye.